Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks. I have an extra special, really topic for you today. We're going to be speaking with Dana from Hemlane, and we are going to actively build something together for the course. We're going to brainstorm what it looks like, and then we're going to let the powers that be at Hemlane build it for us, to how to get started one rental at a time. So how you doing this morning, Dana?
I'm great. Thanks, Michael, for having me.
You had no idea this was coming. I'm actually creating work for you and Hemlane. How about that?
I'm excited about it. It's very valuable, especially for those starting out with their first and second rental, to kind of think about how Hemlane plays in. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, so I've had lots of questions from folks, in my course, right? They're either at zero, they're onesie, twosies about Hemlane, how to use it, when to use it, all of that stuff. I actually want to step back, right? Hemlane is been a part of the one rental at a time family now for at least 6 months. And I'm going to ask you to kind of marry your pre-existing 30-day trial, which you already give away. You already have that Zuber discount, all of that. But now I envision, and I don't know what marketing will call it, but I used to call it a POC document, proof of concept document, right? I used to sell software, tens of millions of dollars in software. And often it came down to is we had to create this document. It's like, hey, let me show my software in your world, right? So what I envision us doing is adding to the course, right? Whatever you're going to be working on, we're going to add to the course. It doesn't cost anything. It's, if you buy the course, it's in there. We're going to guide a new landlord from zero to hero on Hemlane. So for example, if you're a new landlord, what's one of the first things you would have to do, right? Sign up for the trial, go to the link, blah, blah, blah. But you're going to add properties, right? That's what I imagine somebody would do. And in the document, what I'm envisioning, right, if that's the first step, right? If you have a property, add your property. But let's assume that not everybody that does a trial has any. So let's give them an address, and we can make it up. Doesn't matter. But it's sort of like crawl, walk, run. I want them to use the 30-day trial. I almost envision it's like day 1, do this, day 5, do this, day 10, do this. Because as we know, being a landlord, you don't jump into a 30-day trial, do everything on day 1, right? Does this make sense at all? Am I crazy?
Yeah, no, it completely makes sense. I already have the address set of what they can call their fake address.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. So let's assume though they add 2 or 3, right? Again, and I do think we make it kind of day by day, right? Let's use the whole 30-day trial. Like day 1, add properties, and then
Yep. And
go ahead.
I would say you need 2 properties because
Perfect.
you need one that's for vacancy and you need one that has a tenant in the property.
Exactly.
That's the
kind of
best
stuff.
way to do it.
Perfect.
Okay.
See, now
great.
we're doing this, right? So maybe at the end of day 1, you just show them a couple of dashboards. Hey, look, this is what you own. This is where you're at, whatever it is. And then, like day 4 or 5, you have a work order come in, or maybe a work order comes in on the tenant occupied, but the other one you have to advertise. So what does that look like? Right? Does this make sense?
Yep. Makes complete sense.
Awesome.
So should we start with day 1?
Yeah, let's go. Let's just brainstorm it together. This is all done real time. So let's give it a shot. What do you think?
Great. So day 1, you're going to add 2 properties. The first one is going to be 123 Zuber Street.
Oh,
okay. And that's going to be your vacant one.
That's awesome.
I the proof of concept document is going to have all of this in there.
Yes, exactly.
The second one is going to be tenant occupied, and that's going to be called One Rental Lane.
Oh,
One Rental Lane. That's
it.
the occupied one.
Look how creative you are.
I would also say on day 1, you add the rental property. And then there's one other thing that's really important in our system to kind of know who you are, and it's under your tasks. It's who are you? How are you using Hemlane, right? And so in some cases, it's you're helping manage someone else's properties, right?
Yeah.
The other case is you're the owner of the rental property.
Okay.
And why I bring that up is sometimes it's a team, it's a husband and wife team, right? It's 2 people who purchased a property together. So just letting us know a little bit more about you. So that would be day 1 of what I recommend.
Okay. I like it. Who you are, a couple of properties, 1 vacant, 1 occupied. I like it. That's a good day 1. And then I like it. I mean, that's real life. Okay. All right. Then you go a week ahead or 5 days ahead. Where do we go next in Hemlane? What's the next set of activities you think?
Yeah, so the next set of activities is let's just talk with the vacant property,
Sure.
and then we'll do the occupied property. That one is going to be getting your rental listing set up so that you can advertise
Yes,
it.
exactly.
And so we walk you through in Hemlane a very simple process of this is all the information we need. And most things are in bullet points because tenants don't read.
Yeah.
Tenants hate reading.
Yes.
So if you put like it's got a washer and dryer in a paragraph form, you're guaranteed to get a question that says, is there a washer and dryer included? So we do everything in bullet points of check what your property has. It also makes it objective, right? That you're not discriminating. So go to the marketing tab on the left-hand side, and the property that is vacant, they're both going to show vacant. So they're both going to have a call to action to start advertising. Because we haven't added the tenant to the occupied one. But for the vacant one, which is 123 Zuber Street, you're going to go ahead and click the start advertising button.
Okay.
And that is going to walk you through the steps of how to advertise it. And it's going to go through in certain things like, hey, you might say 12 months lease, but you may want to change that to 14-month lease or something like that to put it on a summer turnover if that's higher demand. So it's going to walk you through those steps and make sure that you have the right everything filled out so tenants don't have questions.
Wow. Cool.
As part of that advertising, add photos. And one of the recommendations you'll see in the system is more photos is better. So for example, if it has a garage, even if it's an ugly garage, add a photo of the garage because tenants are visual. They don't want to read things. People like picture books, right? They like Instagram and Facebook. And so they want photos. So add as many photos, you get unlimited photos. The minimum is 3 photos for a lot of listing websites, but add all of the photos so you have that in there as well.
Very cool. Okay. All right.
Cool.
And then for the other one, we're going to be adding tenant information. And again, folks, this will all be in the document. It will be all in the course, but we're just brainstorming live here. So yeah.
Yep. You're going to add the tenant information in there. Now the tenants are going to get an introduction and a welcome from you.
Oh, nice.
So they're going to say it's Michael, your property, saying, hey, Michael has invited you to One Rental Lane. Please accept, here's all the benefits and advantages of, joining Hemlane. It's safe and secure. You can pay online. It's free to pay online for you. It's free to use Hemlane. You can put your repair requests in. It will give the tenant that. However, one thing I will say is that email comes from, it says Michael Zuber, whoever you are, but it comes from an @hemlane.com email, right? A support@hemlane.com email because it's coming from our system.
Right.
So I always recommend that you go and you text your tenants or you email them, however your communication is, just to let them know as a heads up, we're moving over to Hemlane to improve communications and make sure you have a great management experience. You'll receive an email shortly to get registered. So I highly recommend doing that.
Yeah, that's an important part because one of the things that Hemlane, that some of the folks that I talked to about it, they see it as helping them, the landlord, the owner. But really what Hemlane is providing them, yes, all of that, but it's also that communication bridge with their tenant, right? It's streamed. It's not ad hoc. It's not off the cuff. It's kind of one way. So I think I like that's in there. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So then for that one, you're going to go to that tenants and leases tab and click add tenant. And then you're going to go through the process. In that process, it asks if you want to invite the tenant or if you just want to use them for tracking purposes. I actually recommend inviting them because then you can go through as part of this 30-day free trial. You can go through yourself and pretend you are the tenant and go through their process and know what they're doing. So that's why I say go ahead and add a tenant and put the email address as, and this is a trick, you can do your email address. So say it's Michael, and then you just say +tenant@zuber.com. And the +tenant means all of the email communications go to you still, but it's a separate email address than your landlord one. That way you can test it out. You get all the emails, but they're separate. You've got a tenant login to see what the tenant sees and an owner login to see what the owner sees.
Nice. Okay. I like it.
Great. Now, if it's not too overwhelming in that, it's also going to ask you to add lease information for your tenants, security deposit, what the rental rate is, make sure you upload your lease document. What we're making sure is you have this best-in-class practices that you know everything, all the lease terms are clearly outlined there in the system. So you're also going to add not only your tenant, but add your lease terms.
Absolutely. This is why I envisioned the document, because you're taking somebody who has interest in being a landlord, is doing the work, finding good deals, but now we're educating them on all the pieces. Like, for example, if you're buying an occupied property, you should get the lease. You should understand the deposit, and then you could input this data side. This document's really going to help people ramp faster, I think.
Yeah, and the security deposit is an interesting one because you really need to see on the lease side, a lot of times when our onboarding team's going through, it's like, well, it says there's also a refundable pet deposit. Did you make sure you got that as well as part of the closing of the property? Yeah. You definitely want to make sure that you know everything in that lease, because that's incredibly important that, you know, if there's HVAC filters provided by you every quarter or something, I've seen certain things like that in documents. It's like, that's in the lease, should make sure it's in Hemlane too. So you have tasks and reminders of this stuff. So that's something that you can do on day 5. You could do it between day 1 and day 5, but just making sure that all of that information's there and then it's all logged in the system.
All right, very cool. All right, now we probably have to, revert to, we've got probably applicants coming in on one property, and you probably have a work order, I'm guessing, on the occupied property.
Exactly. So let's talk about the applicants. If it is it's a fake property, 123 Zuber Street, what's going to happen is our team is going to flag it as fraud. In other words, we can't advertise it out to Zillow and Zumper and for rent.com and realtor.com.
Yeah, let's not do that.
They're going to say this property doesn't exist. And of course, but we always want, when we go through that, there's, no tenant ever calls Hemlane and says, I got scammed. Yes. And so we have a fraud prevention team to make sure that there is zero fraud in our system. And they're fantastic at what they do. However, with those applicants, just so you know, when you turn on the advertising, you won't be able to actually turn it on. So one thing you could do is tell our team, because on day 1, you'll get a call and an email from our team. You can let them know, hey, don't turn on my advertising, but let me swipe the button just to try it out for the 30 days. And then you can kind of experience, oh, it's on, this is what it would look like, but we're not actually syndicating it out to the listing website.
Yeah, we don't want that.
So there's that. So on day 7, let's go through the applicant process. Sure. What you can do is you can go to the under marketing, it says view listing. So you can view what your listing looks like. This is a beautiful page of what a tenant would see, whether they came through a third-party website, whether they landed directly on this page. And that listing is going to have a couple of buttons. One says schedule a showing. They can schedule a showing with you. They can ask you a question. Hopefully you have very few questions because your ad has everything in it. And the third one is apply now. If they click that button, it actually stops them part way through the application because most people want to do showings first. So I would say go in as an applicant under that view listing page and schedule a showing. Okay. And the reason I say schedule a showing is then you're going to get pre-qualification questions. So you can set yourself up as a tenant. So you'll say like Michael plus applicant at Zuber.com. So that I've got another email address at Zuber.com. And I go through the pre-qualification question. What is my credit score? Is it above this? Is my income above this? Do I have pets? And what's my expected move-in date? So you can go through that process and schedule a showing. The benefit of doing that is then you get to see the text reminders tenants get before the showing, as well as the email communications to yourself and text messages to remind you, assuming you're doing the showings yourself. Yeah. You can also get a showing agent to do it, a leasing agent, but you could basically see what that process is and that communication with the tenant to let them know you have a showing coming up, make sure you show up. So that is day 7, is adding the applicant, but adding them just as basically they haven't applied yet. They're just interested in a showing. That's usually what you see.
Yep. Okay. I like it. Cool.
Great. Should I go on to day 8?
Yeah, let's do it. This is fun. Yeah.
Okay. Day 8 is going to be where you actually have the showing.
Okay.
And right after the showing, they're going to walk out of the showing and they're going to see that once they walk out of the showing, the tenant's going to get an email that says, how did you like the place?
Cool.
Data is key. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, well, I have all these people coming to view the place and no one is converting to an applicant. They're not applying. And it's okay. Well, you said that it was a 3-bedroom, but really it's a 2-bedroom, right? Like that den does not count as a third bedroom. So data is really key. If someone is not converting, it's like sales. I mean, Michael, you're one of the best sales guys in Silicon Valley. It's like sales. You need to understand how to increase your conversions and what that is. And then sometimes you don't want to increase your conversions. You might say, you don't qualify for this property. Hopefully the pre-qualification questions have screened that, but you might say, you don't qualify for this place. I really don't want to waste your time.
Yeah. I mean, on that front, I mean, a quick yes or a quick no, the answers that kill sales guys or landlords is maybes. Right? You need data. Believe me, a quick no is only slightly worse than a quick yes. It's maybes that kill.
Yep, exactly. And it's one of those things where if the tenant says, I'm still looking and stuff, it's all these questions of digging in. Well, why are you still looking? What did you not like about the place? Because that's going to help you understand your property, and it might make it where you need to advertise your property differently to make sure that you're not wasting your time and their time. So you have the showing, and then there's going to be a button that says invite to apply. You can preempt them to do it. So there's going to be a call to action that says, invite them to apply. You can preempt that. And when you do, it asks, hey, do you want to go straight into the background and credit check afterwards? Or do you want to get the application first, review the application, and then afterwards, after you've reviewed the application, do the background and credit check? I have opinions on that, but you can go through whichever way you want to. If you don't click the request, the background and credit check, it's going to prompt you to do that after they've submitted the application. Okay. So you're going to invite to apply on day 8, and you're going to be an enthusiastic tenant. So on day 8, you are going to be Michael. You're going to log in as your Michael plus applicant at Zuber.com. Now make sure you use your own email address plus applicant at yourdomain.com. Michael does not want a lot of emails. And you're going to go through and you're going to get this welcome. Here is the application, click to get started. And as a tenant, you're going to go through that entire process of applying. You can do it on your phone. You can do it. A lot of applicants, actually, it's interesting. Most applicants and tenants do things on their phone.
Oh, okay.
Most owners will do things on the desktop. It's just how the system works. And so you can do it either way. You can do it on your desktop, but go through and apply. And at the end of the application, you can do it at the beginning too. It asks, do you have a co-applicant? You can go ahead and add a co-applicant if you want. So someone else who is applying with you, and we kind of walk you through that process. So you can add a co-applicant if you want. So that's day 8.
Yeah. So again, what we're doing here, folks, is we're not only allowing you, the landlord, to understand how the system will help you, but you're also seeing how your prospective tenants, or clients, as I would call them, are interacting with you. So pretty powerful stuff in this 30 days. Cool.
Great. So day 9, now we're going to wait to review the application, even though I recommend reviewing it right away. Day 9, we're going to go back to the tenant who's actually in your property.
Okay.
And we're going to go through and we're going to get them started with, get them registered. Okay. So you're going to have your email plus tenant, not applicant, at yourdomain.com. and you're going to go ahead and register as the tenant to go through the process.
Okay.
And if you're a tenant, it's going to have different questions, like go ahead and set up your bank account, right? Get ready for rent collection, all of this stuff. So you're going to go through and follow those steps. We mentioned that everything is bank level encryption secure. Even if you ask me for Michael's routing number and account number, everything's encrypted in the system. So we give the tenants the confidence on that, and they go through and get that set up.
Okay.
All right, now we're going to go into day 10. Day 10, you're going to go back to your landlord account.
Yeah.
And you're going to go ahead. There's going to be a lot of onboarding stuff related to getting set up for the first of the month's rent. So on day 10, you're going to go back into your landlord account. And I call it a real estate investor account, but some people call it a landlord account.
Fair enough.
So you're going to go into your real estate investor account, and you're going to go ahead and set up your own. It's going to have some tasks in there.
Sure.
They're under the tasks, and it's going to have them under something called management tasks. And you're going to get everything set up for rent collection. Some people collect rent offline. Some people collect rent online. So we walk you through the process to get that set up. And what I mean by offline is if your tenants pay cash or something like that, you might just want Hemling to track it. But in this case, most people, 90% collect rent online through Hemling.
Nice.
So you're going to go ahead and do the online rent collection through your tasks and get it set up with rent collection.
Okay.
It's going to ask you certain questions and educate you. For example, do you want to accept debit or credit card? There is some eyes there that basically give you information. Like, we don't recommend accepting debit or credit card. We allow it in the system because users wanted it, but it's easy to dispute, and you could find yourself in a couple months having that money retracted from your account, which you don't want.
Yeah.
So we educate you
Just
along the way of what is.
I do not accept credit cards or debit cards for that exact reason. The credit card companies are a lot more powerful than me, and they will just take the money away if it's disputed. So yeah, I don't accept them personally.
Exactly. And so we'll educate you on that of, hey, we have all these options, but here, and the defaults are the best options. So if you don't do anything, we're trying to protect the lease of what you guys have agreed to, the terms. And so we don't accept partial payments. We don't accept credit and credit cards and debit cards, but you can go through that process and see how that works. But anyways, you're going to go ahead and set up your rent collection on day 10.
Okay. I like it.
All right, now day 11, I'm going to go through here. So on day 11, you are going to go back into your landlord account, and now you're finally going to review that application. So you're going to go through and review the application, and you can go through and message the tenant or request revisions on the application if you need to. Okay. So in other words, say the tenant, their pay stubs weren't clear enough, or whatever it is that they've uploaded, you can go through and request those revisions. And then you kind of see that most things check the box, and you want to speed them along because you don't want them to go down the street to a different property. You're going to go ahead and request the background and credit check.
Okay.
All right. Now, day 12, you're going to go in as the applicant. So you're Michael plus applicant at Zuber.com, and you're going to go through the background and credit check process. You don't have to go through the last step if you don't want to, which is paying for it. The tenant pays $30 to get their full background and credit check. They get a copy of it. You get a copy of it. It's a soft pull on their credit, but you don't have to go through the last step. You can just kind of go through the screening questions of what they have. And the final step says pay for your report. If you don't want to pay $30, you're like, hey, this is supposed to be free.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Just go till that last step. And then in the lower right-hand corner, you'll see a help button. Under the help button, you can type in background and credit check. What does it contain? And then you can see a sample report. So you can go through and see what a sample report would look like. Very cool. So that is day 12. Any questions so far?
No, I just want to make sure everybody realizes. So this is going up on my YouTube channel today. It's highlighting what's going to be added to the course. If you have the course already or thinking about it, we are going to add a section under self-management. It's going to be, I don't know, Hemlane's 30-day trial script. You're going to get a document with everything we're talking about here. And there'll also be a video kind of walking people through, right? I just put you on the spot.
That's correct. No, that's great. This is fantastic.
Very cool.
So now we're gonna skip a day, give you a break. You've done some hard work here. We're gonna go into day 14, and now you're gonna go into your tenant account. So that is your email address plus tenant at your domain.com, and you're gonna submit a repair request.
There you go. Yeah.
And the repair request that you're going to submit is going to be, gosh, there's so many fun ones. But this one is going to be related to a door handle that's not working, that's falling off. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's going to ask you for photos of it. It's
Okay.
going to ask you for permission to enter. It's going to ask you for who's going to be physically present to show what the damage is and all of that. It will walk the tenant through a couple steps to make sure we have enough information and you have enough information.
Cool.
So the tenant submits that request, and then on day 15, and then you as the landlord are actually immediately going to get a message on it. If you're on our complete package, which is where we do the repair coordination, you will not get a message until the end of the day with a summary of everything, because we get it and go with it, right? But on day 15, you're going to log back into your landlord account. We're going to do the basic package here to show you what your experience is, so you can experience everything. Log into your landlord account, and you see this request in there. You also get a text message, by the way, if you have text message enabled. You're going to log into your landlord account, and you're going to see, hey, I've got one repair request open that I need to get on top of. And so you're going to go visit maintenance and repair, and we're going to go ahead and set that up. The first thing to do is your contractors. Who are your service professionals? So you'll see at the top something that says service pros. That's your service professionals. And you're going to need to add at minimum your handyman, your general contractor, one or the other, whoever you're going to have go out to the property to fix this door handle. If you're feeling on day 15, like I'm halfway through the trial and I want to add everyone, you can go ahead and add everyone to your property, like your electrician, your plumber, etc.
Painters.
Yeah, and what's actually good about that is we walk you through questions like, are they licensed? Are they insured? All these questions that if this were a real person, you would definitely want to know.
Yes.
Documents, so you can upload their insurance. What is their rates? Do they have a service call rate? Can that be applied to the actual service that's being done? All of these questions make sure you don't have surprises once you send someone out, and you can write all these notes and stuff like that in there. So you're going to add your service professionals in there. And once you've done that, on day 16, you're going to respond to the tenant on that repair request. Now, one thing I would recommend, now we're just going through the trial every day, but if a tenant puts a repair request and you want to respond right away,
yes, please.
That's what our team does.
Yeah.
Don't wait 2 days to respond. But this is just you testing out the system. So you're going to, on day 16, go to maintenance and repair and respond to the tenant. You may need to do some troubleshooting, understand what happened also. Is this tenant damage, or is this something that was normal wear and tear? If you had other repair requests in the system, you could filter for the other handiwork ones to see, has this happened before? Potentially someone was out there 3 weeks before and fixed the door handle and did it incorrectly. So all of that kind of stuff you'll want to go through. And so you'll respond to the tenant and let them know you've received the request, and that you'll be back in touch with them. You've reached out to your network and of service professionals, and you'll be back in touch based on when they can schedule it.
Cool.
The tenant also has in there what they're scheduling, what the days are and times that they have to meet with the contractor on site. And so you'll just want to take that to the contractor, so there's not a lot of back and forth of when can we actually get this scheduled.
Cool.
All right. So you reach out to your handyman. He says, no problem. I can get out there on, or in the system, there's an assign button there that says assign the job. We're going to assign it out to Harry's Handiwork, who you have in the system. And in there, it asks for what's the pricing estimate and what's the scheduled date. That way you're trained of like, hey, how much do I think it's going to cost, or what's the service call rate? A lot of times it's just a service call rate. And you'll be able to correspond with Harry's handiwork in the system. They never have to log in, but that service professional you added, you can go ahead and say, great, this is confirmed. You're all set with the tenant, and put the scheduled date.
Okay.
When you do that, that means that the tenant also gets notification that something's been scheduled with
I would
them.
hope so. That's
So
good.
they know in the system exactly when this has been scheduled, so they know when to show up. So that's day 16.
Yep. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Yep.
Yep. All right, let's go on to day 18. So now we are going to go ahead, and we love that applicant that went through the process, right?
Yep.
So we're going to go ahead and accept them. And it's going to walk you through steps like upload your lease agreement into the system, request the security deposit and the first month's rent.
Nice.
And add all of that. You need that stuff because you're not going to turn off your advertising until you have security deposit, first month's rent, and a lease. If you don't have that, this tenant might say, oh my gosh, I love your place, Michael, I want to move in. And then they never move in. They're looking at 5 different places and applying. So anyways, upload your lease agreement and request the security deposit and the first month's rent. It walks you through these processes. Once the tenant has signed it, so day 19, the tenant has signed it, they're enthused, signed, and they've also paid their deposit, which is in transit, and their first month's rent as well, I should say. Then what you're going to do on day 19 is set up rent collection for the applicant, the new tenant who's moving in, and get ready for the move-in date, which we ask for you to do a move-in inspection and all of that. That's day 19.
Cool.
Okay, day 20. Let's pretend day 20 is the first of the month.
Sure.
And actually, I'm going to do day 21. So on day 21, you're going to log in as the tenant who was originally already in a property, and you're going to see a notification to pay your rent. You will be getting email notifications along the way saying, don't forget, rent is due on this date, set up automatic payment, or log in and just do a one-time payment. But you're going to go in and pay your rent. You're paying it on time because you don't want that late fee to hit. You see that there's a late fee that starts on the 5th of the month. You definitely want to make sure you pay it before then. So you go in and you pay your rent, and it says in transit. How are we doing?
Good. I like it. This is real life, and I like how you're essentially allowing a new landlord to play 3 or 4 different roles, which is really what I was hoping for. So I'm happy.
Okay, great. So day 23, you are going to be Harry's Handyman Services. And what's cool for Harry's Handyman Services is that Harry never actually has to log into the system to do updates in the system. So he's getting notifications via text message and email about, don't forget, you're going to be going out. You have a scheduled date, all of this. But Harry himself doesn't have to be logged into Hemlane to have to update things.
Okay.
So you're going to go as Harry's handyman, and you're going to go into the system and add an update, which gets logged as himself because he's got a unique URL that just says, I'm on site with the door handle, with the door handle, and it's in pretty bad shape. And then he's going to say in there, Harry's Handyman Services, he's going to say, and also there are multiple holes in the wall. And it looks like the tenants have punched holes in the wall.
Oof, been there.
Now, yep. And now in this particular case, everything Harry says does not go to the tenant. We protect you from that perspective. This is for you to know and for you to feel comfortable that he's put this in here. Anyways, for the time being, he has actually gone in and he's fixed the door handle, but now you have these holes in the wall. You have potential inclination that this was tenant damaged, And there's a little bit more work that you definitely want to jump on top of because you want to hit things, head on versus waiting until move out. So you're going to go into the system on day 25 and you're going to go ahead and send a message to the tenant and schedule an inspection.
Yep.
We're going to need an inspection to go through and just say, everything is obviously about the tenant. This is to make sure the property is up to condition for you. If you need anything from us, blah, 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 blah. And you're going to take photos during that inspection that you go to. Now, when you take photos, remember privacy. You're not taking family photos of their children on the wall. You're taking photos of anything that might need to be fixed, any documentation like that. So we're going to take photos of the holes in the wall.
Okay.
And we're going to upload those on day 25. We're going to actually upload those into the system because you need this, and you can do all of it from your phone. You can take the photos and upload them on your phone. It is time stamped and it's under the lease documents. All the documents are there. You have something called, you can tag it as inspection document. You can tag it as a lease. You can tag it as a lease renewal. We're going to tag these as an inspection, not the move-in inspection or the move-out inspection. It's just a recurring inspection with these photos. And then on day 26, you're going to go back into the repair request, and your conversation with you and the tenant is, this stuff needs to be fixed, right? Here are the photos. We have uploaded the photos here. We need this stuff fixed, the walls fixed, and we'll be back, to check on it at such and such date, but this is not normal wear and tear.
Yeah.
All of this, the reason for a system is to make sure everything's documented. It's very professional. It's following the lease, everything like that. What you don't want to do is a year goes by or 2 years, or sometimes I've seen 10 years, and you have no idea what the condition of the property is. That just makes it a nightmare. And I guarantee the security deposit is not going to cover all of the damage that's done in that case. So this is going through and doing it. And then day 27, you're going to be that tenant, and you're going to respond that you're so sorry about the damage, and you are going to use Harry again to fix it, and you're going to pay for it.
There you go. Okay.
And that's all there. And then day 28, you're going to go into the system and request another payment from the tenant. And the one payment you are going to request from the tenant is for the door handle, because it was their damage. Say it was their damage. You're going to request reimbursement because you paid Harry for that first service call. And you're going to request a reimbursement on that. All right. We're almost to day 30. We're going to go into day 30, and you're going to go under your financials.
Perfect.
And you're going to confirm the rent is complete from the tenant and that it has cleared. It's going to be in green. And then you're going to go into your reports and confirm the rent shows there.
Nice.
So that is a quick overview of it.
Yeah, I think this is going to be fun. Again, it allows people to kind of feel what it might be like to be a landlord. It also allows landlords to feel how communication will be. Everything is time stamped, which is awesome. It's more official and will be helpful if ever needed. Yeah, I think this is going to be very powerful. So thank you for stepping up and helping us create something for the course.
Cool. And, most times with your tenants, you're going to have a great relationship. The communication's very positive. That happens, we notice 96% of the time, but you always want to make sure everything's documented in there.
Absolutely. And if you want to go ahead and go after the 30-day trial, there is a link below. There's a little tab for Hemlane, and there's a discount there, discount code Zuber if you sign up. But it will be added to the course here in the next couple of weeks. So thank you, Dana.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Michael, for having me.
You got it.